We are live from Anaheim. It's one of the most iconic venues all time for Call of Duty esports. And now it's time for the Stage 2 qualifier. Maven here, joined by Merc. This is our first time casting together.
Absolutely.
And it's your birthday, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Happy birthday.
I'm getting old. You know, you're getting younger.
Yeah, I wish. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
but
you are.
This is gonna be a lot of fun, man. So our first match is going to be Cloud9 going up against Supremacy. You know, we'll take a look at obviously the bracket throughout the course of this. Basics of it, guys. Win 2, you're in. Lose 2, you're out is the simplest way to look. What are your expectations going into this? Who's maybe your top team you're looking at?
Well, you have to talk about Cloud9. Obviously, the first team we're going to watch. I mean, they've sort of been a new powerhouse in North America, right, for this Stage 2 qualifier. Yeah. You know, Aches and Assault, you know, sort of been a duo together. They've been together a long time. They pick up Exotic, you know, a lot of pressure on him. And then you know, they picked up Priesta, who originally was going to join Enigma 6, but then Cloud9 is able to get him and a young talent. A lot of people are going to have their eyes on him, see how he's going to perform.
Yeah, and I know for a lot of people, Priest is kind of the next up-and-coming big thing. Exotic Jack, Matt and I actually went to cast an event in Canada and for the World Cyber Games. No, not World Cyber Games, but Exotic's team ended up winning it. He looked incredible. I know I've played a lot of matches with him online as well. He's a great player, friendly guy, excited to see what they can do. But yeah, I got to think Cloud9 certainly the favorite coming into this. Outside of that, for me, the story is whether or not the European teams are going to be fight back in. Who's going to be getting back in? Is it going to be Millennium? Will it be Fnatic? Which of these guys are going to claw their way back through? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you had to talk about those are the guys who are in Stage 1. A lot of expectations. No roster changes from those guys. So, you know, you have to think that team chemistry, it's still going to be there. You know, Fnatic, such a great search and destroy team. Millennium, how is Moose going to perform? Really been their all-star.
That's
but
true.
Looking at the maps for Cloud9 versus Supremacy, Retail, Hardpoint, Throwback, search and destroy, Precinct, Uplink, Throwback, and Crusher to close out game number 5.
And this is a scary start for Supremacy, especially, you know, even before the roster change. Retaliation Hardpoint was far and away Cloud9's best map in mode. Assault, you know how good he can be at range. This is a map we see Aches go off on frequently, even though he doesn't maybe have the slaying prowess he once did. This is one where he'll definitely bring it. You got to feel pretty strongly for Cloud9 to open things up.
Absolutely, and that's sort of the thing. Retaliation Hardpoint was always that map where Aches just seemed to perform well, at least around that 1 KD, and when he was doing that, Cloud9 looked great. Yeah. So if he's able to sort of post up with that NV4, and then you have, of course, Exotic and Priesta, those are going to be your aggressive players. See the sort of pressure they're going to put on that map.
And then on the other side of this, Supremacy. I mean, we know this is a team that is they perform very well online when it comes to 2Ks. They've had some issues over the course. I mean, basically, there's been a lot of issues, but this is a team that very much should have probably been in Stage 1, right? If a couple things went their way, if they were able to play at a Gfinity event, they have the talent here, I think, to contend with these top 12 teams.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just sort of look at their placings. You know, they've had to fight through the open bracket. I believe, you know, at the last 2 CWL open events, they've gotten 17 through 20. So, you know, they've always been right there. Maybe if they start in a pool play, they get a top 8, top 12 placing. Things are different. As you said, this was one of the teams who was on the bubble at Dallas for getting into Stage 1. So if they were just, you know, one more performance away because of their performance online, and I know, Clint, I know, you sort of talk about online performances, and you're one of those believers where if you're performing online, you can do well.
I mean, typically it transfers, right? I mean, so frequently we've had online results mirror what you'll see on LAN. I know certainly there are outliers for either side of that, but Supremacy, I'm expecting some big things. Now, against this Cloud9 team, I don't know about that, but do I think Supremacy has the potential to qualify to get into Stage 2? I do. It's just they got the toughest matchup for me to kick things off.
Absolutely, and Supremacy doing a great job off the start. Typically what you see on Retaliation, a lot of NV4s on that first Hardpoint. Supremacy already off to a 12-point lead, looking great. You know, a slow start from Cloud9, Priesta 0-2. Aches tried hitting that mid-haul, going for that flank, and Easy was able to pick that up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, you know, kind of back to the online to LAN thing a little bit. Like, do the results frequently match up for me? Yes, they do. But what's interesting, though, is if you're Cloud9, you haven't actually played on LAN, period. So that's where it's maybe a little bit different. You get 2 new additions to the team. You've been smoking people online. I saw them go something like 8-1 against Envy one night where they were just dismantling them. This was several weeks ago, but still, I've seen them hang with top teams. The question is, you know, what's the confidence like? Are they maybe a little bit overconfident coming into this? But Priesta, he wraps up 3 big ones there on Bridge.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? When you're sort of that team, that up-and-coming team, really reminds me of my team last year with Liquid going into relegation. You know, you're just expected to win, so a lot of pressure on them, not much on Supremacy, but Supremacy, again, Vortex is easy picking up two. Cloud9, though, with control of the hill, Assault Nakes picks up one. Aches still in that hill, now a 20-point lead for Cloud9.
This is the chance, though, for Supremacy. They got control of Plat. That's where you try to get the break, but as soon as I say that, Tony J pushes out and gets cut down. You know, we were talking to Marky B a little bit before this. He said Miles is going to be the one to watch. This is a player that can really put up the big statistics. They're going to need that against this Cloud9 roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Now with 20 seconds left, pay attention to that mini-map. Look where Cloud9 is spawning. They're controlling that market. Number 2, Exotic. He's already sort of inching over, rotating for that Graveyard Hill. And this is a hill where we see a lot of points. And look what Supremacy. They decide they're all 4 going to hit this market. I like this play a lot. A lot of pressure on Assault, but he's able to pick up 2.
Assault goes big there in the backside of Hotel. Now it falls to Exotic, who's already set up in Graveyard. You see via X-Ray, he's got one out front trying to wait for his teammates. It's actually Easy who's going to be cutting off those sight lens across Bridge, but finally Priesta able to trade him out. Now you see that number 1, that's Ake spawning all the way out of Broken Building. You have a 4v3 right now if you're Supremacy. Now the time to hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And number 7, Tony J did a great job blocking that market spawn, forcing Cloud9 to put through the bridge, and Vortex picks up 2. That's a huge break for Supremacy. They're now going to be able to pick up 40, maybe 40-plus seconds, be a majority of this hill.
Yeah, it was really good patience there by Easy, kind of waiting it out on Bridge, waiting for them to be able to collapse and picking up those outside spawners. Mauls, you see, with the dirty shots with the MB4 going up top, trying to tag up Priesta as well, but his buddy there, Vortex, is able to get it done. And, you know, part of me has to pull for Supremacy a bit just because, you know, I know we've been around long enough that we remember the crazy French crowds that you would see at ESWCs and just in general for the players like Gataga. And, you know, now as some of those big players have started to retire, it's like who's going to be those next group of young players for Supremacy, or sorry, for France? They're going to step it up, maybe reinvigorate that fan base a little bit.
Yeah, and they've always been super talented. I remember, you know, sort of going over to Europe, first seeing Gotaga, absolutely ridiculous individual skill. So now a lot of pressure on these guys to sort of represent France, but Cloud9 going to that Broken Building, they get the early rotation. As you can see, Supremacy, they're trying to control that mid-hall. They were able to force a few of Cloud9 out, and now they have a 3v2, but they have to go quick. And that was a huge kill by Mauls. Assault, last one left on this hill, trying to stay alive, but I believe it's Vortex, number 8, going all the way around. Assault knows there's someone back there just doing a great job, taking his time. This is a huge hill. Wasn't able to win that one in Supremacy. They're trying to get that back, but they have to go quick. Look at that mini-map. All of Cloud9 hitting the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Assault, I know he didn't win that gunfight, but he at least stayed alive long enough for his teammates to get here. Cloud9, they get the break, but immediately it's Easy and Mauls battling back through in Supremacy. Back in control, trailing by 40 or so points and trying to hold on to get the remaining time. They'll get the final couple ticks, and now it's time to wrap out as we get to Hotel Hallway.
Yeah, and if you look at that scoreboard, the slaying, it's honestly in favor of Supremacy. Cloud9, though, they've just been controlling early rotations, and that's really the difference right now. Again, going to the hallway, who's there first? It's Cloud9. If you're Supremacy, you have to win those rotation gunfights.
We haven't been able to yet. Let's see what Priesta can do inside with the K-bar. Tagging several up out front. Able to close down the kill on one as Aches finds one on the backside. Priesta, a 2-piece there. 300 off, picking up the Trinity Rocket. And the lead for Cloud9 continues to grow. Talk to me a little bit about this Priesta, because I feel like, yes, we've had some players come out of nowhere this year. Gunless, a prime example of someone that just exploded. Priesta seems to be the next guy up, ready to be that next big thing. What makes him a special player?
I mean, just his ability to play at such an aggressive pace, stay in that objective, and put up kills like he is. He's 16, make that 17-11 on a 5 streak with 1:11 in the hill, leading his team in that objective category. It just seems like he sort of gets it, right? Sometimes when you're an up-and-coming player, you do one thing really well, like slay, and that's sort of what puts you on the map. Priesta seems to have all attributes into his gameplay, at one of the top levels.
Yeah, and I've watched his stream a good bit, and I feel like, one of the things that prior to some of the drama going down with the United right now, one of the things I spoke about Gunless is I was impressed with how he, kind of stayed humble as he started to explode this year. Mm-hmm. I kind of like the attitude and demeanor I've seen out of Priesta this far, especially playing with somebody like Aches. Maybe not always the easiest thing, someone you could certainly bump heads with when you're a young player.
Yeah, absolutely, but if you want to sort of learn from somebody, you definitely want to learn from a guy like Pat. Obviously, that's sort of been his sort of thing the past few years.
Yeah.
Pick up some young players, do well, see what you can do headed into champs.
Well, back to the gameplay there. Vortex able to get a nice FTL kill over the top at Bridge, but as they pick up these final 10 or so seconds, they're still going to be down 50 to 60 points. The game certainly in Cloud9's hands right now. It was Exotic up close and personal with the Erad. Found one. Priesta was able to trade out the second. This is the prime position when you're looking at lower street. You need somebody to be set up here at the balk, looking over the top. He's going to get pushed and dropped immediately. It's a good chance for Supremacy to make a play. Yeah,
great kills by Easy and Malls right there. This is what you want to do. You want to control that platform where Malls is right now, because you have just so many angles on that hill like he does. But I believe that's Assault doing a great job staying alive, just buying time. And again, Cloud9, they're not picking up time, but neither is Supremacy. But Malls doing a great job. Oh, a huge kill by Ace. And now, again, that sort of middle hallway is going to be huge for this team. We'll see if Cloud9 is able to get that break.
It's funny, as long as this has been a map, I feel like since day one, you knew you had to control plat here to look over lower street. I was watching Optic Scrims the other day, and they're a team that for some reason doesn't hold it. They'll end up kind of flanking through back hotel, and it got to the point where I think it was Formal started freaking out. He's like, why does every other team control plat and we don't? And it's a hard point that they would get buried on sometimes. It's just interesting to see with this many months into the game and with a game that's been in since launch, really, teams still surprisingly learning how to play certain hard points.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where sometimes you forget the basics. Well, Cloud9 cleaning it up. They have a 70-point lead, and they do a great job, again, rotating. Supremacy, they did set up for this hill, but Cloud9, they make that market push and that bedroom push. They were able to clean up all the kills. Now look at that mini-map. Supremacy, all four of them have to sort of push through mid-hallway and bridge. Now Cloud9, they can close the map on this game number one with this hill.
Supremacy did a pretty good job breaking in last time we were here. They did it with about 30 seconds on the clock, but right now it's still Cloud9 holding. Aix roaming with his K-bar, doing an excellent job before he's dropped from behind. His teammates here to look over him from inside a grave. Assault, Priesta involved in the action. 15 more points, and this one's going to be done. This should be the game. There's only Tony J's here to make a play, and he just dropped.
And you can see why it's so difficult to break this hill. There's so much positioning for the team and so many different sight lines where they can just team shots together. When they're able to do that, Cloud9 doing a great job. And again, nobody really having a huge game for Cloud9. They just played to their basic. They played well, and that's what you want to see from them, especially for game number one. Because again, we talked about that sort of online gameplay and their confidence. Are they able to bring that to land? And that's what you want to do in game one.
One of their better modes, they take the victory. Now it's going to be whether or not Cloud9 can be surprised and search and destroy it. I'll be honest, I've watched a lot of Uplink, a lot of Hardpoint for the Cloud9 team, but we know it's pretty rare that teams will scrim, search, and destroy. So I have not seen them play it at all. I know Exotic at times has been known for his ability in S&D, but this is a mode that Cloud9 wasn't great in at all. I mean, we critiqued them quite a bit over the course of the year, where this is where they'd fall flat many times.
And it just seems it was due to sort of leadership and shot calling on their team. It just dealt with sort of their team having different views. Cloud9, when they first formed with, Lacefield and Ricky, they were winning search and destroys. They were winning uplinks. That's when they made their champs run to get that sort of top 8 placing to knock out Optic Gaming. I mean, but it seemed after sort of time went on, maybe they were just butting heads because search and destroy was sort of their specialty.
Yeah, see, sorry, I was multitasking there. I had to make sure the sides were swapped. Otherwise, the colors would be wrong, and people would scream me. But yeah, let's see if they can bring it back. But for the side of Supremacy, I mean, this is where I think it's must-win territory. Obviously, I know that this is a double elimination. Obviously, win 2, you're in; lose 2, you're out. They'll still live to see another day. But I think this series certainly gets out of control if they can't win the Throwback Search and Destroy. And I think Throwback's interesting in the sense that I feel like this is a map that a few teams really thrive on. Most teams aren't great, in my opinion, on Throwback. Why is it kind of hit or miss, do you think, with a lot of the top teams?
I just think it deals with retakes. I mean, you see sort of that B-bomb site, so many teams just plan at it for free, and they're able to get that plan off, and then teams, they either sort of get first-blooded, trying to control mid-map, and, they make it a 4v3 situation on themselves, or they're just really bad at retaking that bomb site. And if you are, you have to control middle of the map. So it just seems like they sort of have to decide on the playstyle they want. It is very tough to defend that bomb site. So we'll see if sort of Supremacy has any tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah. I'm rooting for the French side. I mean, okay, I'm living in North America, and I'm close friends with Patrick Price, and I think this Cloud9 team has probably a much stronger ability than Supremacy in my eyes to get into stage 2 and really compete against some of the other North American squads. But one of the parts that bothers me about competitive Call of Duty right now is when you take a look at the European scene. Yes, it's been growing. It was great seeing Splice win the Stage 1 event. That was incredible to see, but it still feels like it's just represented by one country right now, the United Kingdom. Like we need to get some of these other, whether it's a Spanish team. We'll see some of those, like Heretics and who we were watching the other day had like 25 to 30,000 viewers. Like the fans are there. We just need them to catch up a little bit in ability so they can hang with some of these top teams.
Well, that's the thing. If Supremacy does well there, maybe that sort of gives the other teams in France confidence to come to an event like Anaheim and sort of show up and show their talent. And who knows what will happen there. They just have to get to these events.
And that's, we were kind of joking earlier as we have a little time here before Game 2. Kind of the fates of a couple teams, how they're intertwined sort of leading into this. Because think about Epsilon. When you take a look at that squad, they come off, their fourth place finish at Champs last year. They come into this year. They weren't able to play in the first 2K because I think somebody was out of town, something like that. They end up not having enough pro points to get into pool play for Vegas, and they have to keep battling. It's almost a similar problem that you had for Supremacy, since they had a visa issue. They couldn't play at Gfinity. Then Epsilon got gifted into that spot because Supremacy couldn't play, so then Epsilon ends up being the team that's playing in Stage 1. It very easily could have been Supremacy, is my point.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is wild to think about.
Early, strong online performance. They were like the #1 seed heading into that Gfinity event.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had visa issues. Epsilon's able to come in. I mean, Supremacy could have been a team at Stage 1, no problem.
They should have been. They really should have been if it wasn't for some unfortunate issues. So, yes, it worked out great for Epsilon. I think overall it kind of worked out nicely in the sense that Epsilon has been fantastic as of late. I think many would argue they're the #2 team really in Europe currently. But here we go, back to the action. It's going to be Supremacy on offense first, looking for that quick plant.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. Cloud9, they give up that plant, but look at that middle map control. You have 5, 6, and 7 all crowding around, and I believe it's Malls. Let's see if we're able to jump on with him. Yep, there we go. A great late flank by him, and a great move. Just backs up to his team. His team has the vantage point on their side. Vortex and Tony J. Tony J with his sniper picks up one. Ix in a 1v4. Let's see what he's able to do, but he gets taken out in a great first round by Supremacy.
You're talking a little bit about the retakes earlier. I saw JP tweeted out stats just the other day talking about offense for defense on each S&D map. And this one's pretty close, actually the closest of the bunch in the sense that it's, 48.6% of the time the offense won, 51.4 for defense. So it's pretty darn split. But it gets drastic in some other spots. Retaliation, 58% in favor of the offense. So a little bit of fluctuation there, but this is a map that's pretty back and forth. Let's see what Cloud9 can now do on their offensive attempt.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to that A bomb site. But again, trying to get control of mid-map. You have Prisa going up. He might face whoever #4 is versus Vortex, and he doesn't check that corner. Vortex is able to pick up one. And again, Vortex picks up a kill, and they back up. I like their play style right now. They're getting that first blood, and they're just regrouping together.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. It looks like Priest is kind of filling that role in S&D that we saw Lacefield do for this Cloud9 team before. He was the guy they kind of let loose at mid-map on Throwback. He was either getting first bloods or getting first blooded. Pretty much, Aches, you got a reloader. That's going to drive me nuts. There we go. The 2 bullets in the clip. But say if he tries to challenge a window, he's in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, and it looks like Cloud9, they are going to go try and get this A plan, but I believe that was Sniper. I believe it's Tony J with that Sniper. They're planning. They're trying to get this bomb down. But again, they're going to be in a 4v3 situation. But we'll see if this Sniper can be effective. Because if it's not, that advantage can easily go away.
He had, in my eyes, a couple chances to pull the trigger there. Assault able to answer back, turn this into a 3v3. He's got one pin to back rolling there. Finally able to answer the call. Now going to be a 2 versus 2. He knows there's one at back bus. We're under 30 seconds to work with on the clock. He's by himself now. He's going to have to end up pushing here. He has to make a play.
And this is the issue with the Sniper, right? 3 of his teammates push up to get trades. He's sitting back, not able to clean up kills. Now it makes it a 1v2. Exotic and Assault doing a great job. Assault already has 2 kills this round. Let's see if he's able to pick up a 3rd. The round is over. That's the problem with a sniper rifle at times. You can't allow them to plant. You have to get those early picks. And if not, you have to be able to push up with your team. Even if he has a pistol, he has to go with them.
Yeah, it's like the opening 30 seconds, sniping's great. After that, it ends up being more and more of a detriment. But honestly, if he would have been able to hit the shot on the bomb planter right after he got off, which I thought he had a pretty good look at it, he just didn't pull the trigger. He's able to snap and hit that shot. It's a much different story. Not able to do it. By the time he finally does get a snipe in, the round's all but over.
Yeah, let's see what Supremacy is able to do. Again, looks like they're going to head over to that aim bomb site, Malls. This is exactly what he did on their last offense. He's playing this sort of B side of the map, and they're just going for that quick plant right away. If we could see, does Tony still have that sniper if we could go to his point of view, and he does. So we'll see. But again, look at Cloud9. They're taking all of mid-map control, and that's exactly what you want to do when you try to go for a retake, because that makes those sniper shots so much more difficult for Tony. That's unfortunate. And then he gets naded.
but look, Mouse is going to be on the flank. Does he get there in time to make a play? No, Aches is ready for him. Perfect peek and timing from him. Easy now by himself here in round 3. A difficult situation. We saw Tony J trying to make a play earlier. Now it's going to be a defuse for Cloud9 and a 2-1 advantage here in the game 2. If you are just joining us, Cloud9 took a pretty convincing victory on Retaliation Hardpoint to kick off the series. If you're wondering what these matches are, the actual CWL Anaheim Open event kicks off tomorrow. Right now, we're trying to determine a couple of things. One, who are going to be the 4 teams that are going to join the other 12 into the Stage 2.
Yep.
And 2, who's going to be joining our 12 teams in pool play now? Or sorry, well, I guess technically it'll be 16 once you include the open bracket teams. But
yeah.
Which 4 teams are going to be coming out of this to be in pool play? So there's a lot on the line for these relegation matches. $700,000 a pool play spot at Anaheim.
Champs?
Champs as well,
spot,
right?
yeah.
Yep, you guarantee a spot at champs. So
it's a lot. It's a lot for Thursday.
Yeah, it certainly is. But we've got Priesta here mid-map. So last time he was on offense, getting picked up early. Not going to drop this time. It's actually Exotic finding a couple of kills. Going to be a 4v2 advantage right now for Cloud9. Don't give away any easy deaths. Make sure you have the ability to trade. They'll be able to close this out.
And again, they're about to be big kill by Easy, but Tony J again has that sniper rifle. If I was his teammate after last round, I would have said put it away. I said, you got a few picks, but these sort of close situations, it's a 1v3 situation.
And Exotic should be working on the ace here. He's picked up 3. The 4th is inside. Not enough left of the clip to finish it off. He does have FTL. You know you want that ace. The peak comes. Tony's running. He's off the map. Oh, I thought he would be. But he's
there. He goes. He actually died. He actually gave up that kill, so that's huge for those payloads.
Who was it, Priesta that wrapped probably with E-Rad there?
Because again, with the S&D changes, you don't get a payload charge for planting that bomb.
We talked about that yet, have we?
Yeah, so these kills are huge because that charges that payload, especially for a guy like Priesta who's running reactive armor.
Well, now that you mentioned it, I forgot that we hadn't really discussed that yet since this is our first match of the weekend, but let's talk a little bit about that change while we're here. So those that may not be aware, basically you used to get points towards your payload when you would plant or defuse the bomb. Now, the issue that a lot of pro players had is the fact that you could be 2 and 7 to get camo, basically.
Right.
You were handed camo. It's pretty easy to plant on a lot of these maps. Do you like the change? I think it's great. I think it was very, very needed.
I like it a lot. Just talking to the pros, they just discuss how sort of search and destroy didn't become about sort of the old S&D style. I mean, obviously, with how quick this game is, it won't be, but it just came down to bomb plants, and if you got your payloads, those 1 or 2 rounds where you had your camo and your active, and those would really change the game. But a great job by Supremacy. All 3 of Cloud9 flanked, and I believe it was Aches who was alone, and they're able to pick that kill up. Now a 3v3 as Priesta picks up Easy. And he and Supremacy, they have to get aggressive and trade these kills. And it just looked like, I believe that was Priesta again, just sort of going everywhere. Yeah. Pick another one up with that E-Rad, but Vortex trades that. That's what you want to do, a 2v2 situation. Mauls and Vortex versus Exotic and Assault.
From what I've seen of Priest's gameplay, he flies with an E-Rad, and he rarely misses.
Yeah.
Very accurate, phenomenal movement, and incredibly talented player. Nice patience here from Vortex. Going to lead to a kill. Now going to be a 1v2 for Assault. Bomb about to be planted. He's going to peek at just the right time. I thought that was going to work out perfectly to find a kill. He should be dropped. No, he's able to win it. Second one here. Assault just needed a couple more bullets there to take out Mauls. But the French side able to clutch up.
Yeah, and that's a huge round win because that was 3 in a row, I believe, for Cloud9. And Tony J finally puts away that sniper. They play together, and they pick up the first round. So nothing against Tony J's sniping skills. It's just the matter of this map. You have to play together, especially the way Cloud9 was playing that middle map. You have to get aggressive with them.
Back to Cloud9. You know, the one thing I wondered really with Exotic is if he could help this team a lot in Search and Destroy. I've seen him play it a lot. I think he's a really special player when it comes to that game mode. And so far, I know it's 1 search we've casted, but he's 7-3 right now.
Yeah, let's see. As you see, all of Supremacy are flanking, similar to what Cloud9 did. And I believe that's a streak. And Vortex, he was able to FTL, and he makes Assault blow up Exotic, but the bomb is planted. 3v3, and Assault able to pick up Mauls. Now it's a 2v3. And they do know where they're at. They know there's one more on the flank and one more in their spawn. I didn't even know he had streaks. But, hey, you know, 2v3 situation for Cloud9. It's looking really good as Easy and Tony J have a lot to do and defuse that bomb.
Priesta able to turn this into a 3v1. He just saw the last player. He wants to re-peek. Tony J wants none of it as he wraps around the backside, runs into the NV4 of Assault. And that's now a 4v2 advantage now for Cloud9.
Yeah, and Assault obviously having that Trinity was almost bad as he took off one of his teammates, but he's able to get one on Supremacy, and that's just so much information, especially if they can get that bomb planted as well. It makes it so difficult for Supremacy to sort of retake that bomb site.
All right, let's see if Cloud9 can keep it rolling now, but it's back to the offensive end with Supremacy. And for the most part, everybody's struggling. Nobody really carrying the load. Vortex, I know, sitting at even. He's got 3 plants to work with as well. Now let's see. Easy. Looking to get this down. Your camo player. He's about halfway to it. First blood assault. Tony J off the map early.
Yeah, and this is something that...
Okay. All right.
I've had a lot of discussions with people about. You're losing 2-4. Things aren't working. Why are you still doing the same offensive strat? Switch it up. Go B. Or slow down. Slow the game down. You're just giving Cloud9 what they want. They want one-on-one engagements with you mid-map or at that A bomb site. You have to throw in something different.
Yeah, I'd have to watch that again to see why the flank completely fell apart. The Priest was able to get those 2 easy kills, the back whack, and then a 1-bullet player there on bomb. How he was able to get there, I guess aggressively through that mid window, just got him behind quickly, but that cannot happen.
No, it can't, and that's what we talked about. If you are going to give up that A bomb site, you have to control middle map, and Priest has been doing a great job for Cloud9. Let's see if Supremacy's finally going to get aggressive with Cloud9. Number 4, number 1, Vortex, but just like the first round, he doesn't check that corner. Priest is able to pick up 2 on Mauls and Vortex. Tony J's able to get a nade kill, but now it's a 1-on-3 for Easy.
Easy, a lot to do, otherwise facing an 0-2 deficit right now to this Cloud9 roster that a lot of people are feeling very good about their chances in the Stage 2 qualifier, but also really this weekend. And we know, man, Aches has a history here. Krim's got 3 victories in Anaheim. Aches has 3 victories in Anaheim. Or Optic Cloud9 final, I would pay to see that just for the story between those two. But it's going to be 6-2. Cloud9 gets it and takes the 2-0 edge right here. They look far superior in the Supremacy side so far.
Absolutely, and if you're Cloud9, you're very confident. You're sort of going into an uplink, Precinct uplink, I believe it was, and this was that game type where Cloud9 was they used to be very strong in it, but it was starting to struggle a little bit with the old roster. We'll see. I imagine it's going to be pretty darn good with Precinct and Exotic.
I do too, and I'm excited to see whether, I know a lot of times whether it's Parasite going to EG, the 2 new guys joining Cloud9, a lot of times we talk about, there's honeymoon periods for sure, in which teams will play great, but then you see the problems that used to loom before still kind of linger. What do you think about this team? I think this is going to be a really strong squad. I don't think this is a honeymoon phase. I think this is a team that can really get it done.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I think this is potentially, a top 8, maybe even a top 6 team in the world if they're all pieces are sort of able to fight on all cylinders. And I'm sort of looking at Ace, if he's able to perform in big games, sort of going up against those Optics, those Uniteds, those phases, this team, they could do a lot of work.
It'll be interesting. I'm sure Pat's already excited to get into next year. We've seen a lot of gameplay now of the next Call of Duty title, back to boots on the ground, which I'm sure has Ace is like, all right, back to my realm. But this is a team that it'll be interesting to see, how they finish out IW and whether maybe this is a team they decide to stick with going into the next title, because you got a lot of young players that have mostly been around for your Jetpack Call of Duties. But I'm still of the opinion, man, if you're good in Call of Duty, if you're good in one, you're going to be solid in another. But I'm really excited for that conversation. But we're a few months away from that. We still have a lot to go here, a lot to go in the IW season right now. Just trying to determine who else is going to be fighting in Stage 2.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. You have Stage 2. You still have Anaheim. We start tomorrow. You obviously have Champs. So, the biggest parts of the year are just getting started for a lot of these teams. This is what they look forward to, especially a guy like Aches. He always talks about Champs and how he performs there. You have guys like JCap, Karma, 2-time world champions. We're just getting into sort of the midst of all this year.
And do I think there's a lot of pressure on Aches with this squad right now? Not really. Right now, in the sense that I think they're going to qualify for Stage 2 fine. I think this is a team that can perform. But where my concern comes with this roster is going to be for something like a Champs, where you have a Priest, you have an Exotic who don't have a lot of experience maybe on that big stage. They're young players, how they're going to perform. That's where you're going to need to kind of vintage Patrick Precinct to bring this team together, where typically, if you look back at his career, that's where he plays the best. You get the Champs, you know how it went last year for them. I can't wait, because I do think this is a team that'll make a deep run.
No, absolutely. And luckily for guys like Priesta and Exotic, who might not have been on that big stage, if they're able to make it into Stage 2 and they do well in Anaheim, they'll sort of feel that pressure and that sort of that energy and those levels. They'll be able to experience it before going into Champs, but we'll just see how.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of pressure on them, because if they don't get into Stage 2, it's almost seemed like a bust.
By no pressure, I guess I sort of assume that they will be one of the teams getting in, but I agree with you. You've mentioned earlier in the broadcast, there is sometimes added pressure when you're supposed to be that guaranteed team to
You're
get
expected,
in. When everyone expects you to get in, it sort of adds pressure to it. But so far, I mean, we've gotten what we'd expected out of these teams. But guys, up next, it is going to be Precinct Uplink after this quick commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, welcome back to the Stage 2 qualifier. For those just joining us, trying to determine who the final 4 teams are going to be into Stage 2, and then also who's going to be joining the teams in pool play for the $200,000 CWL Anaheim Open event this weekend. I am joined by the birthday boy, Joe DeLuca.
Hi. It's me.
I'm so happy it's your birthday.
Thanks.
We're going to have some fun tonight.
No,
I'm kidding. We have work tomorrow. We're casting. I'm going to probably go play World of Warcraft in my bedroom, relax with a nice bottle of water.
Yeah.
That'll be my evening.
That's a nice evening.
It really is. Yeah. But back to this matchup. It is a 2-0 advantage right now for Cloud9. They have looked very, very good so far. Supremacy, they've dominated online throughout the course of the year. They have had, a couple, you were telling me, top 20 finishes really from the open bracket?
Yeah, 17 through 20, I believe, at Atlanta and Dallas. Again, they were close. They had to do that through open. Obviously, if they start in pools, maybe that changes. But, I mean, they've always sort of been in the mix, not sort of the top 12, top 16 teams, but they've been right there.
And I think, for me at least, there's not a whole lot of separation from them to pretty much every single team in these relegation matches outside of probably this Cloud9 team.
Yeah.
Like, I think they would play everybody else really tough. They just got kind of an unfortunate draw to kick things off because I think for all of us, Cloud9's the best team right now out of these 8. I mean, we could be wrong. Time will tell. I mean, Fnatic Millennium may end up surprising us, but I think it's just kind of a rough draw to kick things off for Supremacy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to think if they sort of draw a European team, Fnatic Millennium, Red Reserve, maybe it's a team they're more comfortable with. I know sort of some of the biggest changes, even talking to you guys today, I mean, it's just like NA just plays differently, and they have such an aggressive play style where the French, they really haven't played that all year, especially a top team like Cloud9.
Yeah, well, let's see if they're able to bounce back. I know we've seen a plethora of reverse sweeps throughout the course of the year, but it would have to start here on Precinct Uplink. Our Game 3 in this best of 5. If Cloud9 can take it, they're going to move on. Again, just have to win 2 matches, and you're into Stage 2, you're into Champs, and you're into Anaheim pools.
Yeah,
you lose 2, and you are
I believe they would play the winner of Tainted Minds and Millennium, so that round 2 matchup will be really good because Tainted Minds, obviously they pick up Excite, from Mind Freak. He gets dropped as Mind Freak picks up Dens, and then you have Millennium, who they've stuck together. They had a poor Stage 1. I believe they were like 1-5 or 0-6 in groups, but there were so many close games for those guys. Just really unfortunate.
Well, a little update here. I haven't, hopefully someone can let us know, maybe a producer, how the Game 1 went between Millennium and Tainted Minds, but I do see it was a 6-3 victory for Tainted Minds in the Search and Destroy. So if I had to guess, if I'm a betting man, that series is likely 1-1. We saw Millennium can be very, very good in Hardpoint and find ways to lose very close games, like we saw in Stage 1.
And already Cloud9 off to a very quick start. Exotic already going to be able to get on 1 point. He almost missed that one, but again, just right from the start, all 4 dead for Supremacy. They're able to push that drone up and get a 1-point play. And this is, again, Pre-Stays in your base with when E-Red stops shooting at Tony J, but Aches, and then Vortex is obviously on a flank, but you can see the mini-map. Look, Cloud9, they have drone. This might be another 1-point play. All of Supremacy were at that statue side, and I believe it is, but a great interception by Tony J.
He gets 2 kills, also gets the pick. Highlight material there in the back from Tony J as he makes the play. He's here at mid-tarps trying to push it out. One going to be right in front. That's Priested there. You think he'd win that with the E-Rad. I don't know if he was tagged up or hit with a grenade, but you would think that's a gunfight he's surely going to win.
Yeah, and Vortex able to pick up 2 with that E-Rad. And again, those E-Rads are so effective, especially around this area where you're going to sort of have those close engagements. But I do believe we just heard Tainted Minds up 2-0 over Millennium. And that is huge for them. They have been playing very well online. They won their qualifier. They won the last 2K. Again, you pick up a player like Excite.
Yeah,
they could do a lot of damage. That'd be great for APAC to get 2 teams into Stage 2.
I'll be honest. I am surprised. I would have thought for sure that Millennium would take the Hardpoint. I'll tell you what, Marky B. Maybe you're going to be eating your words a little bit. He went on that rant on Twitter, kind of talking about how he wanted today to be, like a pool play where all 8 teams play each other, which is just not realistic. And I was like, hey, man, it's double limb. You get 2 chances here.
Right.
And you got to think when they matched up against the Australian team, he's thinking, all right, we're good. Now you're down 0-2. So, buddy, you got to pick it up here. Millennium, I think we all believe a team that deserves to be into Stage 2. Not showing that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. In Supremacy, they had a good push there, but that one just a little bit too high. But Easy's able to pick up 2. And again, the slaying is there for Supremacy. Tony J, 9-5, Vortex, 6-5. They're moving that drone up. On the other side, you have Assault at 7-5 and Ace at 7-5. So that's really there's nobody really standing out besides Tony J. And again, it's just 2-0 in favor of Cloud9. And they're trying to get this drone control around this statue. He's just slow wall running, but loses that gunfight to Assault. Assault doing a great job with that in V4.
Yeah, I mean, Vortex is a guy we've been casting for a long time, and Tony J's been on basically every major French organization at this point. There's a lot of talent on this team. They have the ability to do it. Unfortunately, have not gotten points on the board yet, and that's a deep one for Priesta as he's able to tack on another point here. 3-0 advantage now for Cloud9 with just over 2 minutes to go in the first half, Joe.
And I feel like that's what was missing from the old Cloud9 was their pushes just weren't effective in Uplink.
Okay.
They get a few kills, they get that drone control, and they just hit a one just like that. And that's how effective you have to be in Uplink, especially against top teams. So that's what you want to see from these Cloud9 guys. Just work off your slays.
And that's something we've been critical of, teams like FaZe too. Well, a lot of top North American teams, they'll get 2-3 down, and they don't just go. It's like they didn't realize there were so many opportunities for 1-point throws to actually go in, but there you go. Supremacy now on the board, trailing by 2, and Vortex still doing damage here, but unfortunately at mid-map, it's going to be Priesta that's going to get drone in hand, so there won't be any sort of rally for now. Instead, it's going to be a counterattack opportunity for this Cloud9 team. Vortex picks up one in from behind, but the rest going the way of Cloud9. Exotic, Assault, Aix on the kill feed. Drone down, but now going to finally be in the hand of Exotic. He's going to hit up mid-street. He's got Assault leading the way. We should have points here. There's the one. It's up. It's away. It's good. It's a 1 point for Supremacy. Erased very quickly, Joe.
Yeah, and again, they get all 4 kills, and they turn it in 1 point play, so that's exactly what you want to see from Cloud9. They're doing a great job controlling drone control. It seems like Supremacy, they're sort of getting statue control in sort of, the base control, but Cloud9 is just overextending, controlling the drone, and taking it where they want to.
Well, now we're at mid-map, Joe. It's easy with a nice position there as he's able to pick up one. Drone right in behind him, turns and tries to find it. Assault, I thought, was looking down the opposite end of the hallway, but able to snap and pick up the kill. Now everybody dropped. Aix, Exotic, all finding kills. Assault should have a dunk here. They're spawning there in the back alleyway, and Priesta's already ready, lining up right now for Assault. This is going to get out of hand quickly. You already have Exotic back. He's grabbed the drone. Assault sitting here in the base. They're going to get more points on the board here in the final 20 seconds. This was a close game until the final minute.
And it was a good response out of Supremacy to get that one, but then Cloud9, they just controlled. They got all the slays they needed. A great job by Cloud9 to sort of put those dunks together, and Aix picks up all 3, make it almost all 4. Tony J able to clean that up, but you have to be able to control that drone.
And Aix just snapping on the head, too. I think 2 of those 3 were headshots, just cleaning up everyone trying to push in to find drone. 8-1 advantage for Cloud9. And, I mean, I guess the one maybe silver lining for Supremacy is this isn't like our round robin we had in stage 1, right? Or round robin we'll have in pool play. Map count doesn't really matter in this scenario whatsoever. So getting whether you lost 3-2 here or lost 3-0, this doesn't hurt you, right? You're still able to kind of shrug this one off and look to fire back.
Yeah, and I'm sure they knew just how difficult of a team Cloud9 was going to be. Maybe there's some other teams they just match up well with. But again, they're sort of attacking this top side, and we saw at the end of the second half, Cloud9, they were able to put them in a spawn trap, and here we go. Supremacy getting all 4 down. Let's see if they're able to respond as he does pass it up, and that should be a dunk. A great response for Supremacy. They're not out of this yet, but this has been the difference. Let's see if Supremacy is able to get that drone control, and you can already see, I believe that is number 6. That's Exotic with the drone, and he's already in the Supremacy base.
Yep, and that's a 1-point toss over the top, just like that. So both times we've seen Supremacy score, there's been a 1-point counterattack from Cloud9. Response within 15 to 20 seconds, really, that they're able to answer right back.
Yeah, just super effective, drone control out of Cloud9. But Supremacy, they're taking it towards that middle street. They have to pick up 1 kill here if they're able to. They're not, as Assault and Exotic pick up 2 slays. If they're able to get a kill or 2 there, that's another 1-point toss. But again, Cloud9 gets a drone and takes it towards his statue side. Assault probably is going to throw it down here and try to get some slays. Imagine right now just wasting some time, and there you go. Assault, he has that NV4. Doesn't able to get that kill as Tony J picks him up. Exotic, the last one left for Cloud9. But his teammates are spawning up. Aix and Priesta there to back him up.
Yeah, Assault didn't have a whole lot of help there, right? Exotic was coming in the back, but he had 3 players in front. Dropped almost immediately, and now it's controlled back to Supremacy, and we'll see if they can start to cut away at this lead a little bit more. Vortex doing a good job using the bus to stay alive as long as he could, but finally will end up falling. Now you've got a 3-man stack here inside a lobby as they push out. Priesta ready and waiting. Easy's next one up, and he should get gunned in a moment. Everyone just got slaughtered. Vortex the only one remaining. This is another opportunity for Cloud9 to attack on points. That was an odd FTL.
Yeah, and this has been sort of the issue we've seen from teams this year, is as soon as they go into that second half sort of at a deficit, they try to just take the drone and just sort of run around with it, try to pick up 1-point throws. instead of just slowing the game down and just slaying. The most effective way is to get that team into a spawn trap. You're not going to do that if one of your teammates has a drone in his hands. Slow the game down. There's still 3 minutes left. You're only down by 6 points. If you're able to get those slays, able to put them in a spawn trap, that deficit can get cut very quickly.
And just to let you guys know, I know this series isn't over yet, but it's certainly looking like Cloud9 could close it out. At the conclusion of this one, we will hop in and show you what's going on with Tainted Minds and Millennium. I'm just glancing at the other screen. It looks like Uplink is just a couple seconds from starting there. So we should be able to see if Tainted Minds is actually able to close that out or if Millennium's going to fight back.
Yeah, which will be awesome to see. And Uplink's that game type where those reverse sweeps start. It sort of just seems like if you're able to win that game 3, the momentum shifts very quickly. I feel like if you already have a camo from Assault, but I feel like the team that wins game 3, if they're down 0-2, that typically goes to a game number 5.
It does. It certainly does. And you saw Assault get picked off there. We've seen a lot more people when you use camo on the wall run. They were talking about how you can kind of see the shadow there. We see players get picked off all the time. That was a little surprising to anyone at home. We've been seeing it more and more as of late. But those kills can end up proving crucial. Now it's going to be an overdrive pop up mid-street. Priest is there to cut him down. Doesn't wrap the edge. His teammates are going to fall in front. And now control right back over to Cloud9.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. They're just trying to get the drone and force something when you have to pick up those kills first. You're not going to be able to win those fights 4v3. Drop that drone, pick up those kills. If you're able to do that, then you have the overdrive, which can effectively get you a dunk. Instead, he tries to force something, and another payload wasted.
And that's going to be 3 kills now going towards Cloud9. They have drone as well. This should certainly be points. It's Aches up, away, just a little bit short. They're not able to find it, and they actually clear it out. So they save 1 point, but you don't have camo to work with anymore. You're still trailing by 6. I mean, you just have to kind of hold here if you're Cloud9. You don't have too much to worry about. If Easy is able to make a play, he could get closer to that camo, and possibly you could bring this back. Just so little time to work with.
Yeah, they just have to pick up kills. If you look at that scoreboard, all in favor of Cloud9, as you have, Assault 25-19, Exotic 25-18. Just a great job out of them. Aches, this is what we talked about. Just stay around that sort of 1-point play, or 1.0 KD. A great play out of Priesta. Again, another response. As soon as Supremacy scores, Cloud9, they get that drone control, he pops overdrive, and it's another score. And
every single time.
Yep.
All 3 of their scores. Within 15 or so seconds, you're striking back if you're Cloud9, and a lot of that. I mean, is it the difference? Not necessarily. I mean, they're up 6 right now, but it'd be a hell of a close game. You may have a chance of the play from Easy if you weren't giving up those quick counterattacks. Why do you think that happens? Because we've seen, North American elite teams be guilty of that as well. They get points on the board, they get 4 down, and they allow a counterattack pretty much immediately. Is it a miscommunication? Why does that seem to happen pretty frequently?
It just seems like the players that sort of die on their push, they don't go towards that drone. That drone control just sort of disappears. That other team overextends because they don't have control of their base, and teams are able to just go on that counterattack.
All right, well, we just ended this one. Cloud9 is going to move on. Their first victory in the books. I believe we're going to come to us and then hopefully very shortly be able to switch over to the Millennium Tainted Minds. Again, Tainted Minds up 2-0. Very surprising, I think, for me, for sure. I haven't seen a whole lot of Tainted Minds. Millennium, they were so close to winning so many series in Stage 1. The North American teams were so high on them, coming out and screaming early. I don't want to say I thought they were locked to get back in. Not at all. Not like maybe a Cloud9, but I certainly expected them to be a team starting out 1-0. If they lose this first match, there is a very good chance we're not seeing them in Stage 2.
In terms of experience and chemistry, just playing on the big stage, you had to talk about Millennium just sort of course, trying to get in, or at least being, sort of right there to qualify. So, and you just have to think, if they lose that first match, that sort of mindset, it's just going to be lingering. We lost at Stage 1. We've been losing at these big events. Something just isn't working.
Well, you see their recap of Supremacy Cloud9. You get, 100-plus point victory in Hardpoint, 6-2, thrashing and search and destroy, and then they dismantled them also in the Uplink with a 12-4 victory. So Cloud9 kind of did what we expected. They came in, they handled business. Supremacy going to have to try and shake that one off. I know the names at the top of the graphic just changed, but that's